Dependent arising requires you to make a profound shift in how you think about both time and being. All your life, you've been taught that time and being are separate, that being happens in time, and that time is an elongated cylinder of sorts. Both you and all the objects around you are in time and moving through time. Dependent arising merges what we normally think of as time and being. Each phenomenal moment is an arising or an emergence of being. Time is not a separate container in which being occurs. There's an ancient Zen saying that communicates this directly. Plum blossoms open spring. In this sentence, plum blossoms do not open in any spatial or temporal location. They do not open in someone's garden. They do not open in a season called spring. They open spring. A moment of being opens a moment of time. Plum blossoms open spring. So, in Zen, being and time are two dimensions of what is one thing going on. Plum blossoms open spring. Being and time arrive as one reality, as unique phenomenal arrangements of world. World is temporal. It takes place moment by moment. Plum blossoms open spring. This is why, in many Zen texts, especially in Dogen, the phrase time being gets used instead of time or being. This, of course, is completely different from how you've been taught to see the world. In the way you've been taught to see the world, being is spread out in linear time, and you experience one moment of being at a time. This one moment that you experience at a time is a three-dimensional slice of Cartesian space around you at that point along the timeline. Being is confined to that narrow slice of Cartesian space. Only what is there in the slice exists. This is why you feel like you are cut off from past and future. Your OS defines being as that which is present in your current slice of Cartesian space. So, the kitchen table that is in your current slice of space is there, and it's real. The kitchen table in yesterday's slice of Cartesian space is not here, and neither is the slice of Cartesian space containing the forest that the table came from. According to your OS, none of this is in front of you. All of the causal events that result in this moment of table are both spatially and phenomenally removed from the table you were looking at. Dependent arising rejects this Cartesian slice definition of being completely. Dependent arising says that the table in front of you never achieves any solid existence within Cartesian edges. So neither the table nor any of these solid slices of world are ever there. Instead, dependent arising is saying that what is in front of you is a phenomenal moment of table, that the table takes place as a moment of time, not as a solid object. Within this phenomenal moment of table, no solid table is being created. It is empty. Here's the way you need to see the table. All the events that cause this moment of table are, for lack of a better word, weaving this moment of table. What we normally think of as the past is what's keeping your coffee from hitting the floor, the forest, the woodcutter, and so on. There is no container of time that events are stretched out in or happening in. Just as plum blossoms open spring, woodcutter and forest open a moment of coffee. To understand dependent arising, you have to remove all the spatial separation your mind is inserting between causal events and caused events. This is extremely difficult for us to wrap our heads around, because we are hardwired to understand time in terms of spatial separation. We have been taught that past events are spatially separated from present events. We think that at any given time, we are in one of these slices of Cartesian space, and so is a solid object called our table. The past is somewhere else, spatially removed from the phenomena we are looking at. So you have to stop injecting spatial separation between causal events and caused events if you really want to understand what dependent arising is proposing. You have to really understand what dependent arising is telling you about how time and being are actually occurring. If you want to get any farther in Zen, you have to see that forest and woodcutter are opening this moment of coffee.